fair value gap. Okay, today we got fair value gaps. We're gonna go over fair value gaps, or FVGs, as you guys might know them, exactly what they are, how they work, and how to use them. So let's fucking get straight into it. A fair value gap is a 3-candlestick pattern where the wick of candle 1 and candle 3 do not intersect, meaning candlestick 2 has a gap. It has a gap where the wicks do not intersect from candle 1 and 3, so the area of no intersection is the fair value gap. And I'll show you guys right here what I'm talking about. So here we have a bullish example and a bearish example. Bullish example obviously meaning going up, going higher. Bearish meaning going lower, going down. So in the bullish example, we have candlestick 1, candlestick 2, candlestick 3. In candlestick 1, you see we have a wick here, we have a wick here. Candlestick 3, we have a wick here and a wick here. Now, you see that the wick right here of candlestick 3 and the wick of candlestick 1 do not intersect, right? I'm going to show you guys an example real quick of something that would intersect. I have to draw it out real quick, but as you guys can see here, this is another example here on the left side. This is wick of candlestick 1 and wick of candlestick 3. You see how these candlesticks intersect? The wicks intersect, meaning there's not a gap. Now, if we were to change this up and move this lower, then we would have a gap, meaning from wick of candle 1 to wick of candle 3, that is our fair value gap, as you can see right here. And that's how you measure the fair value gap. You got your rectangle tool, you measure from wick of candle 1 and wick of candle 3, and you measure the gap between the wicks. That's what the fair value gap is. So you have a fair value gap here on the bullish side, and for the bearish side, it's the same exact concept, the same exact thing. You measure from wick of candle 1 and the wick of candle 3 to find the area of fair value, which is the fair value gap. Now, what do you use these fair value gaps for? Well, the fair value gaps are used to trade when there's a retracement. And it's very important you guys understand why fair value gaps are created. Now, fair value gaps are created in the market by big moves in the market, like banks or institutions. When they place a large buy order or a large sell order, a lot of their orders cannot get filled under one price. That's what I was explaining in last video for liquidity, how sometimes you can't get a fill price for 100 orders if there's not 100 quantity of the price you want to buy. So again, we'll get into this again. So let's say these are the 3 prices that are available to get filled: 2,400. 24,000, 24,006, 24,008. And in these numbers, let's use this brush tool. Let's say in this one, there's only 50 orders, right? And let's say in the next one, there's 100 orders. And the next one, there's maybe 300 orders. Uh-oh, my drawing skills. Wow. Okay. So here we see we have 50 orders for the first one, 100 orders for the second one, and 300 orders for the third one. Now, let's say you're a bank. If you're a bank, you have a lot of money, you have a lot of orders to fill, and you want to get orders all under the same price or the best price possible. Now, the cheapest price for buys would be 24,000, right? But you are a bank, so you don't only have 50 orders. Let's say you have 450 orders. If you have 450 orders, you have to get the buys right here, the buys right here, and the buys right here. Now, what does that do? That pushes us up pretty fast, right? It makes a big move up, leaving no space for retracements in that exact moment because the bank is buying everything in the way to get all these prices filled. What does that do? That leaves a fair value gap. It leaves a fair value gap, and there's no wick in this area because the institutions or the banks bought up all the prices that were right there. That's why you create a fair value gap. But what the banks understand is that if they want to get a fill price back around this area, they need to come back to the same place again. And because there's an area with unfilled orders, meaning that there's a bunch of sell orders here that did not get filled because the banks bought them all, price is attracted to come back into the area where they bought all the prices at. Like right here, this fair value gap. We use it as an area of retracement. We have to rebalance the market because the fair value gap is an imbalance. There should be wicks between here, meaning that there is orders that go up and orders that go down, but instead it's just one big push up because it's a bank or an institution. So in order to rebalance the market, what do we have to do? We have to come back into the fair value gap, grab lying orders that are right here, and then continue going higher. So what you're using the fair value gaps for is as a point of retracement. We can retrace into the fair value gap and continue going the direction that we came from. So if it's a bullish fair value gap, you're looking for a retracement back to the fair value gap, trade into it, then move higher. And this the same goes for bearish fair value gaps. You're looking to trade into the bearish fair value gap, take orders that are here, and then come right back down. It's the same way for both sides, except bullish is bullish and bearish is bearish. So you're going to use a fair value gap as a point of retracement. When you come to this point of retracement, you can find your own confirmations to take a trade. But it's telling you that at this zone, at this fair value gap, there's a higher chance of continuation once we tap into it. It means we have to come to the fair value gap, take liquidity from there, which is internal range liquidity. I know I spoke about it last video. There's internal range and external range. But we have to come into the fair value gap, get the internal range liquidity, and then move lower. In this case, for bearish. And if for bullish, take liquidity, internal range liquidity from the fair value gap, and then continue moving higher. So look at a fair value gap as a point that you're going to tap into and then continue going in the direction that you came from. In simple terms, a fair value gap is a major confluence that's used in the market. It shows an imbalance in the market, and this means that there's an area where either buyers or sellers were fully in control of the trade, which is leaving the opposite side's orders in the fair value gap. It's important to know because banks will drop into the fair value gap to get into better prices for their positions because of the imbalance. They're also the ones that created the imbalance in the first place, but that's besides the point. A fair value gap is also known as internal range liquidity, or IRL, and in simple terms, it is an area where price is attracted to. So yeah, it's a 3 candlestick pattern where the second candle or the middle candle's body has a gap, meaning the wicks from candle 1 and candle 3 do not touch. Yeah, it's an area of fair value. Otherwise, the gap containing fair value is called a fair value gap. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to show you guys how to spot it in real time, like on a real chart, so you can see it on your own. So the first thing you guys want to do is go over here to your left side, click the little magnet tool, then you're going to go here, click the rectangle tool, and you're going to start looking for what a fair value gap is. It's the gap between candlestick 1 and candlestick 3's wicks that do not intersect. So here we have candlestick 1, candlestick 2, candlestick 3. The wick of candle 1 and the wick of candle 3 do not intersect, and that gives us a fair value gap right here. As you can see, price tapped into the fair value gap and continued going higher because there was an imbalance. Price came to the imbalance, filled the imbalance, grabbed internal range of liquidity, and then moved up. Now, one thing to note about fair value gaps is that it is IRL. I know I mentioned it before, which is internal range liquidity. Now, what's important about this is that IRL always goes to ERL, which is what you learned the last video, external range liquidity, which in other terms is just liquidity. So you're always going to move in the market. You're always going to move like this. You're always going to move from IRL to ERL and from ERL to IRL. Always. So you're always going to go from an internal range liquidity to external range liquidity. So you can see here, fair value gap is IRL. Now what's the next thing? You're going to go to ERL, which is right here. So you went from what is IRL right here, IRL, to ERL, which is right here. So IRL to ERL. And now, what's the next thing we're going to do? After ERL, we're probably going to go to IRL once again. And what's the next IRL? Is the next fair value gap. So let's look for the next fair value gap. Oh, look at that. We got a fair value gap right here. After hitting the ERL, we tap into IRL once again. Now, what's the next thing we're going to do is we're probably going to go into ERL once again. Over here, we have ERL. And we tap ERL. And next thing we're going to do is probably going to go to the next freaking IRL. Right here, fair value gap. Tap the fair value gap between the same candle and you continue going higher. It's just a cycle. It goes from ERL to IRL, ERL to IRL, IRL to ERL, and back and forward. It keeps going that way. But yeah, as far as the fair value gap is, you're going to map out the wicks of candle 1 and candle 3, and I'll show you guys a bearish example right here. Candle 1 and candle 3's wicks. You map it out. You tap into the fair value gap, grab the grab the internal range liquidity, and then move lower. Let's look for more examples on the bearish side. So, and keep in mind, not every fair value gap works. Not every single one works all the time. It's just giving you an edge. It's telling you that there's a higher probability that you're going to tap into this area and continue going in the same direction that it came from, because the market is all about having an edge. So right here, we tap this fair value gap, go a little bit lower, and then move higher. We have another example of a fair value gap right here. We tap it a couple times and continue going lower. And it's super simple, guys. Literally, use the rectangle tool, use the magnet tool. It's your best friend. I was going to show you guys this indicator, which is the fair value gap indicator, but I just clicked on it and I don't know why it's not like actually working. For some reason, it's not like fully working. I don't really know why, but let's see if there's another one for you guys to actually use. Let's see. Be this. Nope. Yeah, I don't know. I don't use indicators for fair value gaps. This is the only one that I would have trusted, but it doesn't seem to pop up with any more fair value gaps. I don't know why it's not fully working. But yeah, that's fair value gap, guys. Make sure to understand what it is and how to use it. Wicks of candle 1 and candle 3 cannot intersect. It's an area where price is attracted to, so you're going to retrace into a fair value gap and continue in the direction that it came from. So if it's bullish, you're going to tap to the bullish fair value gap, continue going higher. If it's bearish, you're going to tap the bearish fair value gap and continue going lower. And that is all in terms of probability. It doesn't mean every single fair value gap will work, but that's you using an edge in the market to your best of your advantage. But yeah, that's a fair value gap. If you guys want to keep watching these videos and understanding how the market works, make sure to drop a comment on what you guys want to see next. Like the video and subscribe, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.